Have you ever been with a normie?
I've never found one that could handle me.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're looking at how Wednesday paved the way for Jenna Ortega to star in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Can't believe Grandpa's dead.
Death is hard.
Yeah, sometimes I think life is harder.
I've done just about everything there is except a few things that are illegal. I'm a nymphomaniac.
By the early 80s, roughly 20 years before Ortega was born, goth subculture started to enter the mainstream zeitgeist. In The Breakfast Club, Ali Sheedy's Allison identifies as a basket case, although she encompasses many of the qualities that came to be associated with goths. Allison could be seen as an early goth icon, although she ultimately conforms to traditional beauty standards.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? It's just so different. I can see your face.
Is that good or bad?
It's good.
Within the coming years, two characters would make goth girls feel seen: Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz in Beetlejuice, and Christina Ricci's Wednesday Addams.
Why, I bet sometimes you wish it was still just the two of you.
Or less.
Reveling in black wardrobes, neither character cared what others thought of them. While both were proud outsiders, Lydia and Wednesday weren't above helping others, be it ghosts or trying to reclaim their home or fellow misfits at a summer camp.
Do you know what happens if my mom uses a fabric softener?
What?
I die.
Between Lydia and Wednesday, more people celebrated goth culture, coinciding with the ascent of director Tim Burton. It's not surprising that after directing Beetlejuice, Burton was approached about helming the Addams Family. Burton turned the 1991 film down due to other commitments, but he'd finally take a crack at Charles Addams' character in the TV series Wednesday.
I want names.
Don't know who they were. Honest. It happened so fast.
Pugsley, emotion equals weakness. Pull yourself together.
As the title suggests, this incarnation designated most of the family to supporting roles, giving Wednesday center stage. While Burton's signature style was perfectly tailored for this material, the project's success depended just as much on who would play Wednesday. Netflix provided the creators with a list of potential actresses. Among them was Jenna Ortega, a former Disney Channel star who had recently been cast in 2022's Scream.
Do you remember when Dad left?
Parts, sure. I was 8. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
It has to do with it.
Beyond her rising Scream Queen status, Ortega's past roles and real-life personality exemplified a dry wit that suited Wednesday's morbid sense of humor. It was also important to the creators that Wednesday's Latina heritage be reflected. Although she seemed born to play Wednesday, Ortega initially wasn't eager to star in another teen-centric show, feeling she should focus on film.
You're gonna see sides of her in this series that you've never seen before or may not seem authentic to her, and having her go through the typical teenage experience and trying to avoid making her every other human was immensely important to me.
Upon learning that Burton wanted to meet with her, though, it didn't take much more than a Zoom call to convince Ortega.
I got an email one day that Tim Burton wanted to meet with me for the role of Wednesday Addams. I was pretty taken aback. I didn't know if he had any familiarity with who I was, but then also Wednesday I actually was compared to my entire life.
In preparation, Ortega studied the Addams Family comics and Lisa Loring's performance in the 60s TV series, adopting Wednesday's speech patterns and body language. She picked up new skills as well, like playing the cello, archery, fencing, and speaking German.
I didn't want to be doing some impression of her, and I think it was really important that we just kept our ideas separate.
Ortega shared the screen with her predecessor Christina Ricci in a prominent supporting role. Although this invited comparisons, Ortega embodied Wednesday while making the role her own.
Wednesday Addams. What a lovely surprise.
Miss Thornhill? This is Tyler
Galpin.
Ortega even choreographed Wednesday's now viral dance sequence and changed certain lines she felt didn't ring true to the character. This caused tension between some creatives and Ortega, who acknowledged she might have been acting, quote, almost unprofessional, but she was, quote, very, very protective of Wednesday.
It's a small town. It's hard to keep secrets.
I'm gonna go get us some drinks.
Co-developer Alfred Go also understood that, quote, the lead of any show becomes your collaborator. You can't say Ortega's input was unwarranted. Wednesday took Ortega to another level of fame while introducing the Addams Family to a new generation. With one Gothic franchise revived, now seemed like the ideal time to revisit Beetlejuice.
It's him, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Go ahead, Barbara, say it.
Beetlejuice!
A Beetlejuice sequel had been in limbo for decades, at one point being entitled Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. After several false starts, a sequel, eventually titled Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, gained traction in early 2022.
All right, let's get down to business. You're right. I got a card around here somewhere. Here. Who do I have to kill? Here, hold that for me, would you? There. Whoa! There you go. You don't have to kill anybody.
Although Burton initially denied involvement, it wasn't long until he came on board. In March 2023, the same month that Scream 6 came out, rumors circulated that Ortega was in talks to play Lydia's daughter, Astrid Dietz.
I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, because I'm gonna keep going to college, I'm gonna get my degree, and I'm gonna live my life.
Only a couple of months later, Ortega officially joined the cast with Burton directing. Returning stars like Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, and Winona Ryder have seen career resurgences in the past few years. While this added to the film's marketability, every legacy sequel needs a newcomer to carry the torch. Who better than Ortega?
Isn't this evidence?
Well, cops like money, and evidence can get lost pretty easily.
Ortega had always loved the original 1988 film, seeing it for the first time at a friend's house. Even before watching the film, Ortega was familiar with Beetlejuice and Lydia, recalling the characters being everywhere growing up. Ortega even had, quote, consistent dreams about Beetlejuice as a kid.
Leave me alone, all of you!
When Ortega arrived on the set, Keaton said she, quote, immediately knew what the tone was and just slipped in like she does every day. One could argue that Wednesday was Ortega's audition for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. In both projects, Ortega plays a sarcastic outcast who doesn't need or want validation from her preppier peers. Yet Astrid isn't just a retread of Wednesday, nor is she Lydia 2.0.
Can't believe Grandpa's dead.
Death is hard.
Yeah, sometimes I think life is harder.
According to Ortega, Astrid is, quote, weird but in a different way and not in the way you'd assume. Although Astrid shares much in common with Lydia, she's reluctant to acknowledge her alleged mom. Wednesday and Morticia similarly found themselves at odds. As the younger Addams grew distant from her mother, she unearthed a family secret, just as Astrid learns about her mother's history with Beetlejuice.
When I was a teenager, a trickster demon terrorized our entire family and tried to force me to marry him.
Ortega says, quote, the relationship between Lydia and Astrid is very important. Despite the tension between their characters, Ortega and Winona Ryder developed a close bond on set. At a time when Ortega was feeling, quote, isolated, she appreciated, quote, being able to speak to somebody who had witnessed that firsthand, maybe even more, calling Ryder, quote, a great source of comfort.
Confronting the unknown, conquering your fears. There's nothing harder.
During their careers, Ortega and Ryder have both been described as it girls. While the definition of it girl has evolved over the decades, the term is typically associated with young ladies who epitomize glamour.
When you're all driving carpool and banging your Pilates instructors to fill the empty voids in your life, we'll see who gets the last laugh.
Although Ortega and Ryder have class in spades, it's ironic that both rose to fame playing unapologetic oddballs. Of course, Ryder soon revealed that her repertoire didn't end with Lydia. Entering the 90s, Ryder transformed in costume dramas like The Age of Innocence, Little Women, and The Crucible.
Did I tell you I showed Ellen the ring? She thought it was the most beautiful setting she ever saw. She said there was nothing like it in the Rue de la Paix. I love you, Newland.
She also demonstrated her range in contemporary films like Girl Interrupted. One could imagine Ortega having a varied career like Ryder's.
Daisy?
With characters like Wednesday and Astrid, Ortega has become Hollywood's go-to actress for sharp-tongued teenagers. Ortega doesn't want to be typecast, however.
The Black Dahlia.
Oh, you know it?
Of course. It's named after my favorite unsolved murder. Thank you.
Discussing her transition from Disney Channel to more mature projects like 2021's The Fallout, Ortega said that she wanted to pursue more, quote, diverse roles and not get, quote, pigeonholed as an actor. Wednesday helped to evolve Ortega's image, providing a natural path to Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
So, for instance, when someone bullies your brother, your response is to dump piranha in the pool.
You know the old saying, never bring a knife to a sword fight. Unless it's concealed.
In general, Ortega enjoys starring in horror projects, calling the genre, quote, therapeutic. Since Ortega seems keen on shaking things up, though, we can expect her to keep branching out.
You don't think what you wrote has something to do with what's happening to us?
Come on. Hey, I talked to Sydney.
She's not coming here, is she?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Like Ryder, Ortega is an actress we'll surely still be talking about years from now. Just as Lydia remains an icon, we'll never forget the roles that made Ortega a household name.
You ever been with a normie?
I've never found one that could handle me.
The Addams Family and Beetlejuice were around long before Ortega. To a generation just starting to discover these properties, though, it'll be impossible to imagine them without her. From Wednesday to Astrid, Ortega has solidified herself as a scream queen, an it girl, and so much more.
If this was my chance to get up close and personal with a potential serial killer, how could I refuse?
Are you excited for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice and Wednesday Season 2? Let us know in the comments.
When I suggested giving your side of the room a makeover, I did not have Ted Bundy's Pinterest in mind.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.